should be good.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for the invocation. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us bow our heads in prayer. Father of the universe, we are grateful, Lord, that we can come and serve. Serve you in public, and serve our communities, and serve all whom are around us in the circles which you have placed us. You have reminded us, Lord, that the greatest leaders in the world are the finest servants. We are grateful for all who serve in this community, especially the members at this table in this conclave, and also all that are being trained to be future leaders here in our community. We are grateful for what you've given us, our family, our friends, our labor, and a safe place to raise our families. Be in this room, Lord. Be in all of our hearts, Lord. Keep us in peace and grant us the ability to constantly look to you for guidance and love. We ask that in your name, and we all say, Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon Shoemaker. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using an electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record, and we request those that are wishing to speak to be recognized and state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device will be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Mignone?
Here.
Mr. Owens?
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs?
She is ill tonight.
Mrs. Winters? Here. Mrs. Strato? Here. Mr. Mercado?
Present.
Mr. Lechner?
Here.
Chief Earl?
Here.
Mr. Carlemere?
Here.
Mr. Cardis?
Here.
This evening we have a special presentation with Ariel School's 5th grade service club, Kids Reach Out To. And also, Mayor, if you can join me at the microphone, please. Along with Debbie Carr.
And Maddie.
And Maddie, can I have the last name?
Ray.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this evening we really have an opportunity to acknowledge some outstanding 5th grade students here in Gloucester Township from the Ariel Elementary School who belong to the Kids Reach Out Project, or Reach Out To Service Project, who took it upon themselves to really make a difference for our senior citizens here in Gloucester Township. With the Hyder Lane drop-in center, they collected all kinds of stuff to so that our seniors would have chapstick and socks and cards and mittens and scarves and really made a difference in their lives. And we wanted to say thank you to those 5th grade students. And so what I would ask is, Mrs. Hoskins, if you could please join us. But on behalf of our town council and myself, I thank you for your leadership with the club. And boys and girls, I just want to say how proud we are of what you're doing. You are outstanding because you stand out. And you've made a difference. So we appreciate that very, very much. And as a small token of our appreciation, we have a certificate that we'd like to give to you tonight. So with that, Ms. Hoskins, if you could please.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you so much for acknowledging the students at Ariel Elementary School. This is the first time that we had this club. We typically have a reaching out program that I've ran for the last 3 years, where we've worked with the DIFAS children at the Together House in Glassboro. We also help with the animal shelter at the Voorhees Animal Shelter. And we help with the Haven, the Unforgotten Haven, with the homeless people and a million of the other opportunities. But this service club, it's the first time we've ever done this club, and the students came together and they decided what they wanted to do for the community. And a lot of ideas were tossed around, but having, helping the seniors was their idea, and they did such a beautiful job and made their Christmas party fantastic. So with that, I'd like I don't know if everyone's here. Quavier Anderson, Jada Carter, Mackenzie Crocher. Come on up.
There we go. Congratulations to you. There you go. That's pretty good.
I'll grab it for you.
Well, thank you. Oh, you know what?
Can she stay?
Up here, yeah.
Riley, Kenny. Samaya Nelson, Ashley Haynes, Brooke Crumpler, Aaliyah Green, Giovanni Mead, Nicole Green, Logan Pacheco, Dino Pettinelli, Riley Morris, Jada Britt, are there any other students here that I did not name? Great, well that's our Kids Reaching Out To program. Let's hear another round of applause for them.
Mrs. Hoskins, thank you again for your leadership, and boys and girls, you're truly role models for the other students in your school and your friends, and that's really important. It's a big responsibility you have, but you seem to take on responsibility and come through. And so I know our seniors really appreciate that, and Debbie Carr, our liaison to our senior clubs, certainly appreciates that as well. Maddie, one of our senior citizens at our clubs, Maddie, would you like to say a few words?
I'm so glad there's one Italian in the crowd. Thank you very much.
I just want to say one thing. Is this too loud? Can you hear me? I just wanted to also say thank you to you guys because they also made table numbers for us. And you might not think it's important, but it's very important to us. We have 15 tables with 80 seniors that come to meetings twice a month. And somehow somebody goes home with these numbers every meeting. We don't know how, we don't know why, but we're always missing numbers. So they kindly made us leaves in the fall with the numbers on them. They handmade them all, which was really nice. And then for the winter time, they made us snowflakes. So now we're going to have probably about 4 or 5 different sets of numbers. So we'll always have extra numbers for when they accidentally go home with them, I guess. So, but I really want to tell you, I thank you so much because they really needed the chapstick, the mittens, the gloves, everything. Even the coloring books and the adult sketchbooks, everything that you guys donated, they really, really appreciated it. It was like a field day, and I don't know if you saw it, but it was on the township website. Regina put it on there, and we were in the GT News also. So thank you again from all of us seniors. Thank you very much. I would have had more here, but a lot of them are sick right now. So thank you very much. Thank you, parents.
Guys, come over here, we'll get a group picture.
We'll take a 5-minute recess. turn this gift full.
Bring it down lower.
I love fans watching.
Debbie.
Madam Clerk, may I have the roll call again, please?
Mr. Hutchison?
Present.
Mr. Vignani?
Here.
Mr. Owens?
Present.
Mrs. Winters? Here. Mrs. Trotta? Here. And Mr. Mercado?
Present. We're going to have our first public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item only, please raise your hands. Mr. Heinbaugh.
Good evening. I'll give Mr. Cantwell a chance to get seated.
Good evening.
Pete Heinbaugh, Morningstar Court. Couple agenda questions. First one's the ordinance 01803. There's no detailed information attached with that one. And so it wasn't online, maybe on the board. I don't think there is.
The final draft of that ordinance was just delivered to the clerk's office. That's probably why it did not make it.
Okay.
This is for 72 residential units, where 11 of them will be reserved for non-age restricted rental low income and moderate income households. It's part of our obligation, our COA obligation, Council of Affordable Housing, through the state, and that's our affordable housing constitutional obligation. That's located on Choose Landing Road, across from the Rite Aid. So if you're coming from the Pike, on the left-hand side.
Okay, thank you. Couple bill list questions. First, there's a bill on there from Bach Associates for $7,800 plus, and the account says reserve, well, it says res, I guess that's reserve affordable housing fees. What do we pay Bach related to affordable housing.
Well, Mr. Bach is the engineer for the planning board. Is that, do you know, Mr. Carson, is that a planning board
No.
bill? Or?
Well, I can't say exactly. I do know that Mr. Bach is working closely with this litigation for the affordable housing, and has worked very diligently to put our plan together, and we pretty much have it resolved, except the plan.
Okay.
I don't know if that bill relates specifically to that.
I believe it does. I know Mr. Lackman's here, I don't know if he has any input on that.
Mr. Lecter?
Stock Associates is the planner, his firm doing our affordable housing plan, housing element fair share plan. I believe those funds will be through our administrative fees that we get from developers. We're allowed to spend 20%. So they're probably paid, I'm not sure exactly, but Don, I believe we are able to use those fees.
Yes.
That does match what it looks like I saw on the bill list, so that sounds right, thank you. Also on the bill list, we issued 7 checks for a total of $30,000 plus to the Gloucester Township Housing Authority. And it said related to CDBG payment process, Metro Cities. These were payments from Gloucester Township to the Housing Authority. Do we know what those?
Gloucester Township Housing Authority receives community development block grant money through the township that's provided through the federal government. Tom, is that part of their CDBG obligations that we provide to them?
I believe it is. I believe those particular ones might be for rehabbing some housing, but I'm not, without, again, pulling those individual vouchers and being able to look at those prior to the meeting. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of it.
Can you pull them and let Mr. Heimball know about that? In the future, Mr. Heimball, when you have specific questions like that, if you can contact Mr.
I would. I did look at
finish.
the.
You've contacted Mr. Cardis in the past.
Yes, I have.
We don't carry the bill list with us. We
I know.
don't carry the bill list with him. But if you contact him prior to the meeting, he can provide that
Yeah,
information.
and I realize that, and I've done that in the past. I didn't happen to look at this till
Okay.
6:30 or something.
I will
But
pull
thank you.
I'll pull those bills and I will contact you by email.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the first public portion. Ordinance of first reading. Ordinance 0-18-03 is ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, amending Ordinance 0-03-03, land development, adopting an inclusionary affordable apartment overlay, 1A-apartment, zoning district for 1495 Chews Landing Road, Block 8401, Lot 12.02. This is, the Township of Gloucester has entered into a settlement agreement with the Fair Share Housing Center for development of affordable housing. This is a project with 72 residential units that shall be reserved for family rental for low-income and moderate-income households as defined by the Council of Affordable Housing. This meets our constitutional obligation. Now, when we say low and moderate-income housing or affordable housing, when that law was enacted or that act was enacted, affordable housing was set aside for individuals that were teachers, firefighters, police officers, people who are working in retail, clerks. So this meets our obligation with that settlement. There will be a public hearing at the second reading, which will be 2 weeks from today. I entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mrs. Strata? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes, next we have items on our consent agenda. Any council member would like to move any item on the consent agenda, please speak up. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchinson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mrs. Strata? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. We've not received any GTE Gov access emails. Now we'll have our second public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on any item, please raise your hand. Mr. Polidoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the Historic Village of Ariel. I'll be brief, but I have 3 quick questions. Resolution 1802-051. In the past, we have asked numerous times when you do the lot and block stuff, if you could simplify it to a physical address. We'd like you to get back into the habit of doing that so we can identify. Lot and block is good if you're in real estate or an architect, but residents may not be able to associate, or it takes a little bit of work.
Well, Mr. Palmer, we've done that when it's, for instance, this ordinance that we spoke about, or if there's a planning or redevelopment, we've done that, but I don't ever recall you asking for that when it comes to erroneous charges for tax collection.
It was just in brief when using lot and block. Reason, and I'll follow up with this second question. How does that come about? How did the township overbill after sale for tax? How does that come about? And I'm not asking in an accusatory way. I'm simply curious.
Tom, can you shed any light on that?
No, had I known in advance, I would have ran that by the tax collector because this was generated by the tax collector.
This is, if it's the one I'm reading here, charged after sale, my guess would be that the transaction, the property went to sale, taxes were paid, and also collected at the closing table and probably sent in by the title company, so they were paid twice, so there was a request for reimbursement. Would be my guess because it says charged after sale.
Okay. Next quick question. The code requirement for affordable housing. I remember several years ago we had met our code at the time. How does the COA requirement exist? Is it an ongoing year to year? How do they break that up? And when do we ever reach our COA requirement, or does it keep on going?
It's a moving target, and I'm going to have Mr. Lechner and also Mr. Lechner, if you'd like to speak on it, and Mr. Carlemare.
Well, I'll bring up to where we're at.
If you go to stop the clock, please.
Basically, there's 3 rounds. The COA rules were enacted, and the township met round 1 and round 2 COA obligations by actually providing brick and mortar housing. A lot of towns may have just had a plan to provide housing, and it was never built. Gloucester Township actually provided the homes for the round 1 and round 2. And then I think since 1999, COA, the Council on Affordable Housing, had a requirement to enact new rules. They adopted new rules, they came up with a plan, they were appealed in court, they were changed again. So the round 3 rules were, I think, changed at least twice, maybe 3 times, and went to court, and finally the court turned it over to the courts themselves, and I think COA still exists, but as a regulatory agency, they don't anymore. They don't meet. And towns, in order to have their protection from a builder's remedy lawsuit, from a builder just come in and say, you have an obligation and we're going to build them here when we really want them there, we filed this summary declaratory judgment in Superior Court that Mr. Carlemare and the Bach Associates have been developing our housing element fair share plan to show how the township's going to meet our constitutional obligation and not have a builder say you have a requirement. But this one thing is an intervener to someone intervening this ordinance.
I guess what I'm asking in this moving target, as Mr. Mercado has indicated, I remember back in 2008, and it was construction, we met our requirement back in 2008. If we met our requirement at that particular time, what is that moving target? Do they visit that annually? So we've met our requirement today. Let's say the structure is built.
I believe it's every 10 years, and we didn't meet it in 2008, because in 2008, that was the moving target when they were trying to come up with new rules. When they came up with new rules, the rules were litigated. One hand, they were litigated by the builders. Another time, they were litigated by Fair Share Housing Centers. So there was always somebody objecting to COA's rules. So they never got resolved until when the court finally said, we're going to take it over.
Is there any end to the requirement? I mean, you keep on doing affordable, then the value of other homes in the township now begin to go down.
This litigation, we filed our declaratory action in 2015, and that was the target date by the Supreme Court. It was turned over to the Superior Courts in respective counties. We filed our declaratory action in 2015. That gave us an immediate builder's remedy protection. No one could file against the township directing, as Mr. Lechner was saying, where they're going to build affordable housing once they accepted our declaratory action. And we've been working through the courts since then, coming up with our plan. The lead plaintiff, if you will, is Fair Share Housing throughout New Jersey, and they've been pretty aggressive in a lot of the towns that have filed and working diligently with us. We now have come to a point where they're pretty much prepared to accept our proposal. If our proposal is accepted at our hearing coming up in March, that gives the township's plan protection to 2025, as long as we proceed to meet what we said we're going to do. And part of this ordinance that was just introduced was part of that, because as we were getting ready, probably 3-4 months ago, the particular property owner intervened in the action, and the court allowed them to come up with what they were proposing as part of our plan, and that's how this ordinance came about, because it's part of our code plan to meet our obligations through 2025.
Have we ever entered into an agreement with any other town to buy there, or they buy, they?
No.
Thank you.
We actually filed, if I remember, Ken, a round 3 proposal. Gloucester Township was always proactive with COA requirements from round 1, round 2, round 3. With round 3, since they kept changing their rules, they never adopted Gloucester Township as well as any other town that filed for round 3. The courts, through various litigations, finally the Supreme Court intervened and made its decision.
Okay. I guess this will be a 2-part question, and I'll follow up to that. Some time ago, the township appealed the state's decision on, and I forget the terminology that was used, undervalued homes being considered into comps within a certain development in a certain area. And the township was appealing the state's decision, if I remember how that went.
That's the thing with Long, Wadewood and Long, for on the assessments.
And did that go to court, and was there findings in that?
If I remember correctly, there were, I didn't handle that, Mr. Long was handling it. There were 6 properties included that we were appealing. And I think they resolved it by accepting 3 of our arguments on holding to that, and we waived off on the others, and that case is settled. So the township pretty much feels that we were satisfied with how it was presented. We made our point, and I'm just trying to, from some of the conversations I had with Mr. Long's office, but he handled it correctly.
Now, does that set a precedent for other areas in the township where undervalued homes would now be considered in comps, which would jeopardize the amount of, well, not jeopardize, but it would reduce the amount of taxes some people would say if they had their home reevaluated or reassessed, and obviously would be a drop in revenue to the township if homes are reassessed at a much lesser value?
If the tax assessor was here, he'd probably give you a better educated response than I can, but it really deals with properties that were considered non-usable or appraised values. Because when you go before the County Board of Appeals and appealing it, you're talking about market value. So when you have a sale by a mortgage company or a distressed sale because someone's moved out, these become non-usable. So they were making a determination that some of the ones that our assessor was arguing that were non-usable, they were saying were usable, and that's how that appeal went. So we had about 6 of them. They determined it's either 4 and 2 or 3 and 3. Forget how it was settled. And we met on it. The assessor was okay after we discussed it. We met with Long, all of us, and the assessor being present, and we decided to resolve it in the best interest of the town. That case was settled.
Okay. And my third point in question, and again, the great difficulty of the school board meeting on the same night as the township council meeting. You pop in and make appearance, get what you can, and boogie over here. But it was an educational night for me at the school board meeting. It seems that the school board, which eventually is going to come into the equation of property tax at some point, they're looking to put a new roof on Ann Mullen Middle School at a value of almost $4.8 million. My question to the school board, and I know that this does not involve you with their procedural methods, did it include the price of removing the solar panels again? Now, we've had this discussion, you were going to check for me on our township buildings, and if it could be deemed maintenance because they are an obstruction to the roof, if the solar company, I mean, they made a boatload of money dropping solar panels over the township, maybe they can extend a courtesy. But furthermore, when the discussion was being had on the $20 million plan to put solar panels all over the schools, many of the questions were posed to the township. How old are the roofs? And if they're not brand new, why are you putting solar panels on them? And I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't mean to be sarcastic. That's kind of the answers we got. That was it. So at tonight's meeting, I asked the new roof that they're getting at Ann Mullen Middle School is going to be a 30 or 40-year warranty roof. The roof's only 20 years old. They're going to pay the solar company to remove the panels and then go for another $4.8 million to put a roof on. We asked these questions at that time to prevent this type of situation. God only knows how much that solar company is going to charge the township or charge the school district, which is going to be at our expense and our property taxes again. Part one. Part two is a $4.8 million roof on a 20-year-old roof. Now, they're taking it under advisement, but again, it goes back to the question that Mrs. Carr has asked numerous times about liaisons, and you guys know what the school district's doing because you collect the taxes for the fire, for the schools, for everything. It's still, we know it's not you, but it's still somebody that's taking our money in the way of property taxes. And a 20-year roof, if it has a 30-year warranty, that's 1/3 the lifespan cut off of that. I would like to think that some type of warranty would be valid and maybe prorated on the roof. But these are the things that drive our property taxes up, and these are questions that we asked when the $20 million solar plan went into effect. I'd like to hear anybody's response that would care to address that, because it's going to happen here too. It's going to happen with these buildings. And why new roofs were not put on before solar panels were. Please.
That is, with the school district, did they respond to your question?
They're going to take it under
advisement. You made more of a
advisement.
statement than a question.
No, my question was about if you have a
With our
20-year-old
roofs
roof.
here, Mr. Cardis, our roofs, they examine our roofs.
Absolutely. And so,
I can't speak for the school district, whether they certified or what examination took place. That's a discussion you have to have with the school board. But with our roofs here, they were inspected and verified.
yes.
If you're putting solar panels on a 10-year-old roof, that's about the maximum of it. A 15-year-old roof they did that on. Now it's 20-some years old, 20 years old. And again, Mr. Calderon, if you recall, you were looking into that on the township. Now, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV, but if you were to twist and spin, those solar panels are obstructing the work of roofers. Could that not be deemed an obstruction enough to have the solar company, under the maintenance agreement, have them remove those panels as an obstruction to work that needs to be done? And that's the question that I asked them. It could save us a tremendous amount of money, because these guys aren't cheap. And I never did get follow-up on that
Well,
for the township
that
buildings.
goes back several months, and I think the following meeting, I don't recall whether you were here, you might have been, but I gave a response, and I would have to check the notes. You asked me to look at the contract, if I recall, as to whether or not the contract defines maintenance, and would this fall under their responsibility for maintenance. If I would give you a thought now, I would say it does not, but I would want to pull that file out and see what I wrote down.
Okay, I mean, just looking in the future, and it's a lot of money, plus a lot of money, and that's a property tax increase coming down the pike, because you just can't keep borrowing to put roofs on and solar and what have you. And I hope that we're looking at that in the future, because it's going to cost us. It's going to cost us a lot of money. And our kids need to be safe. The roofs need to be safe. But wow, it's a lot of money again. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom Woodward. I'm from the aerial section. I live in the Clementona section.
And I'd like to speak to you tonight about Article 4.422J as it regards recreational vehicles. It's the zoning law. The zoning officer suggested I speak to you about amending that law. I own a trailer, and a lot of us in that development do own a trailer. The law allows for us to park our trailer in the rear of the property, but not in the front. However, R4 zoned properties, they're all very, very small lots. I can't fit a trailer in the rear of my property. I can't even access the rear of my property because there's no room on either side of the houses to squeeze one in there. And that covers motorhomes, trailers, and boats. I don't know why I think it's just aesthetics because there's no safety hazard that would exist in the front of the yard that wouldn't exist in the rear. I'm getting ahead of myself. The idea was to see if it could be amended to exclude R4 zoned properties, to allow us to store our trailers in the front of the property. I'm on a fixed income, I'm disabled. It's difficult to find a public storage place to put one of these. All the ones that are local have no space available. I have to go all the way to Cherry Hill to store my trailer. It's a long distance for me, and it's a lot of money when it's simpler for me to just keep it at my home. Something just for the council to look into, the possibility of maybe amending it for the R4 zoned areas, because the zoning officer couldn't tell me why this law existed, and all we could come up with was it's just because it doesn't look nice. But I can't fit a trailer in the rear of my property. I have applied for a variance for myself personally, but I can't speak for anybody else as far as there's like 15 or 20 people that have recreational vehicles that they can't fit into the rear of their property.
I didn't get your last name, I'm sorry.
Woodward.
Woodward.
Sorry.
What type of trailer, when you say?
I have a travel trailer.
Travel trailer, okay. Mr. Mignon, can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Grab Mr. Woodward's phone number, and we'll contact you. We'll contact the zoning officer and have a conversation with her, and possibly put it on our workshop agenda in March. A workshop agenda, we sit down there, we have more of a discussion than here.
Right.
Okay, is that fine? Okay.
I guess.
I asked you to give your phone number so we don't give your phone number to everybody here. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, no. It's anything.
Huh?
Anything, yes. Regina, I saw your hand, you're next, okay?
Hi, David Hay from Highland Village. Anybody from Public Works here?
Oh, Mr. Cardis oversees Public Works.
Okay. I was going to address another item, but I was talking to Mr. Hutchinson and Ms. Winters. They were behind my house, so Mr. Hutchinson was. Highland Village Reserve Base, once again, right? It's being maintained properly, cut and all that, but I'm a taxpayer, anticipating a 10 to 15% tax hike this year, but it's another story. I share my property line with the MUA and Gloucester Township. Year and a half ago or so, the kids were back there. They found pharmaceuticals, drugs, right? I called this SCARA, sent her email. Public Works came out. They were in a medically safe container. I gave them to them. I don't know if they were, what skid they were, no idea, right? Didn't bother to look up, but they were there in the Rite Aid, CVS things. The place, I saw the picture on the township website today where they cleaned up, got like 8 bags of trash, 10 bags. That's nothing. You would get 20, 30 bags back there or more. It needs to be cleaned up. Before it wasn't maintained along the run, it's called Farrell's Run. It's actually on the map, it's called Farrell's Run. It wasn't maintained there. Mr. Hutchinson was walking campaigning. And I stopped him and I took him back there. He saw the mess back there. And he got Kevin, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, from Public Works. And they cut that down, but it's full trash. It hits the streets, goes down the drains, and then it winds up back there. It goes back there and goes to the tunnel under 42. There's actually a tunnel at milepost 8.35. If that ever clogs up, and a couple times it did, and it floods back there. The one time it clogged up, I told RVE that don't spend the money to do the street drains. They spent $4 million to put new street drains in. It was dammed up, and that's all it was. I tried to show the engineer that, but she didn't want to hear it. She said, what do I know? I'm a naval engineer. What do I know? I know water, right? So it needs to be cleaned up. I suggested, Mr. Hutchison, maybe a community service group can go back there for that, you know, while they're doing their community service or something. But it's full of trash. If you need, I'll send pictures to you.
Mr. Hague, you're in Chestnut Glen, correct?
Highland Village.
Highland Village, okay.
Hey, you look at the pumping station next to me, it says Highland Village. It doesn't say Chestnut Glen. And all the deeds,
Mr.
even
Hague,
if they're on Chestnut
Mr.
Glen,
Hague,
say
what's
Highland
your address?
Village.
What's your address?
What's that? 11 Fraser, right next to the pumping station. Like I said, I share the south side of my boundary line is the MUA, and the west side is Township.
Mr. Cardis, can you have a conversation with Public Works to have them go out there to 11 Fraser in Highland Village / Chestnut Glen?
They could go in between the MUA access at 13 Fraser and 15 Fraser. There's an access there. They could go there. Kevin knows where it's at.
Mr. Hague, you're home during the day so they can knock on your door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, Kevin came out there. I know it's a long name. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Butcherone.
Yeah. He was out there, and he's always said, you got any interesting pictures back there? Because I have a trail cam on my side of the fence, so it's not on public property. And I caught an 8-pointer there a couple weeks ago. So, but thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Virginia.
Good evening, Council and Chief Earl.
Good evening.
My name is Regina Relaire. I live in the Clementon section of Gloucester Township. For over 2 years, I have been employed as a school crossing guard in our township through the police department. My crossing guard post is located at St. Teresa's on Evesham Road on the borderline of Gloucester Township and Runnymede. Students from Triton High School also walk or ride their bikes to school and from school, utilizing the crosswalk at St. Teresa's. Tonight, I just want to begin a conversation in order to discuss some traffic safety concerns that I have observed during my service as a school crossing guard, in an attempt to possibly add additional signs to make some drivers more aware of the fact that not only should they slow down when they pass through the school zone, but stop and remain stopped for pedestrians visibly present in the crosswalk. St. Teresa's teaches pre-K to 8th grade students and is located near the very busy Black Horse Pike. The school itself sits on Evesham Road, which is Camden County Road 544, and has a posted speed limit of 35 miles per hour. Currently, there are 2 school zone signs traveling southwest down Evesham, past the Acme, going towards the Black Horse Pike. The only school sign traveling northeast off the Black Horse Pike onto Evesham, past the Sunbank, is the sign at St. Teresa's. The crosswalk itself is plainly marked with 2 standard yellow signs, flashing yellow lights located on both sides of the roadway, and a large painted white lines on the street. The most common problem that the students, their parents, faculty, and eyewitness is distracted and or speeding drivers. In order to help alleviate this ongoing problem, Lieutenant Swack provided Gloucester Township Department traffic cones to make the crosswalk more visible to motorists. Consequently, there has been some improvement on the excessive speed issue. However, routinely, many drivers do not stop and stay stopped for pedestrians crossing the roadway within the marked crosswalk, which has been in New Jersey state law since 2010. I believe that one option might be additional signs in the school zone vicinity. I recently saw a sign in the Sicklerville section of Gloucester Township on Shoes Landing Road, right by the ShopRite and Fulton Bank. The sign reads, "Stop here for," and it shows a person and an arrow pointing down to the road. Since Evesham Road falls under the County of Camden's jurisdiction, would it be possible for representatives from Gloucester Township and Runnymede to combine their efforts with establishing contact with the Camden County Freeholder Liaison for Roads and/or the Director of the county's Public Works to determine a resolution to this matter in the interest of avoiding any potential accidents? I thank each of you for your time.
Thank you very much. Chief, is that something your traffic unit can address?
It is, Mr. Fred. Yes, we have an investigation going on now. It's in progress about painting the signs, but I don't have any results yet.
Okay.
We are aware of it, not from Regina, I guess from another resident in the area that made a complaint about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I was talking with one of the parents at St. Teresa's, and they actually went to Runnymede's Town Council too. So something might be in the works there too. I don't know. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Mr. Heimel.
Pete Heimbaum, Morningstar Court. I just have a few more questions regarding affordable housing, and it's just for a level of understanding. I'm not debating anything or anything like that. When we hear fair share and affordable and COA, even Mount Laurel, are those pretty much talking about the same issue? Are they sort of interchangeable?
Yeah, it all stems from the Mount Laurel decision.
Yeah.
Was that 73, Ken?
Right around that time.
Yeah, okay.
And how do things like the metro cities and the CDBG, how do they dovetail into this in some ways? Like, do they?
It can. Community development block grants, that's issued through HUD, and they're for projects that are earmarked for low and moderate income communities or sections within a community. When I used to work in Camden for the redevelopment agency, we oversaw the CDBG grant process for community groups to apply for funds there. And as the years have gone on, those funds have less and less of those funds. Part of the CDBG grant that we have here in the township, we do counseling for housing. We're located in our old Public Works building. There is funds available for individuals that are low or 0% interest funds for people to rehab their home, microloans that are offered. There's opportunities through the Housing Authority. Also, money that's earmarked for, I think, Blackwood West for the redevelopment agency that comes through CDBG money. At one time, we had an administrator, Joe Neller, that would help us secure grants to the township and to pay part of her salary. So those are some of the things that CDBG allows for.
Okay, and do those end up developing some affordable housing that can count against this quota we try to reach? I mean, does all that kind of work together to add up to this housing quota, affordable housing quota we try to reach? Is that part?
Probably not. Mr.
I
Leckie?
think part of that. Part of the calculation is a rehabilitation component. Percentage can be for rehab. So the CDBG funds are used, as Council President said, if you meet the income limits to do rehabilitation to your home. So we get credit for their roof, a well, sanitary, septic system, things of that nature. So I'm not exactly sure what the percentage number is, but we use those funds, and it's not an individual unit. It's, as the Council President said, it's rehab. So there is a rehab component to our overall obligation.
Okay. And for instance, this housing development ordinance that was talked about today, does the township negotiate with the developer for affordable housing units, or do they come to you with the number, or how? This is all just out of curiosity. It's a complicated area.
There's a formula, but Ken used a term. Was it an intervener? What was the term you used?
They intervene. Yeah.
So this particular developer objected, was interested in putting apartments up, then objected to the possible plan, and Mr. Lecter, you could take from there.
Yeah, basically it's 15%. so 15% of the units or 11 of the units of the overall project would be for low and mod. It's not 72 low and mod income units, it's 11 of the units within the project.
And that's mandated, that this 15% is,
It was part of the study.
oh, it's part of this, yeah, I see, okay. So for another example, the senior housing that the Housing Authority administers, does some of that?
That counts towards it. We'll see when Senior Campus 2 or Senior Campus 3 comes on board, that will meet that obligation as well. I think that's already included, isn't it? The plan.
The 75 units that exist are
Part of it
already
now.
accounted for, and Senior Campus 2 and 3 are part of the plan.
And also, this property rehab program that the Housing Authority is also administering will end up with affordable housing units from that program as well. Is that?
And that could help in that, meeting that number as well.
And I'm not, I mean, this, it sounds good to me, and so I'm not trying to start an argument or anything, but I thought when we asked that question back when this program was adopted and voted on, the question was asked, is any of this rehab going to roll into the affordable housing? And I thought the answer was no, but I mean, it's a good use of this program anyway, so I just, I'm not here to debate that or.
It's in our plan.
Okay.
One of the things, Pete, I spent 9 years on the planning board, so I was at Mr. Hohen's, spent about 4 or 5 years on the planning board. Mr. Hutchinson's on it now, and this is something that it is. I said a moving target earlier, Mr. Polidoro. The numbers change all the time, and there used to be where a developer came in, a certain percentage had to be allocated for affordable housing. There was a time when developers would just throw money at it and say, okay, we're just going to put money in a pot to use for affordable housing. Some of the more affluent neighborhoods did that, and that's what led to the Mount Laurel decision, where you have to meet a certain amount percentage of affordable, or have a certain amount percent of affordable housing in your community.
Okay. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, and it's coming from direction from community development planning and from the Housing Authority. Who in the township kind of pulls all this together to make sure we're...
Mr. Lackner.
Is that right? That's fun. Okay. Thank you. That's all
Is that
then.
a question?
No, that's...
Okay. That's all then. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Carr. Sir, you'll be after Ms. Carr.
Joanne Carr, Timber Birch. I haven't been here for a while, so it's good to see all of you again.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. This coming Saturday is the fire elections. I have not yet received a ballot, and there's a budget involved there, and I don't know how much they're asking us to vote on.
It's a zero increase.
Pardon me?
I read a zero increase. For your, no, they're for choose. There's 6 fire districts, you can choose, okay, so clarify, please.
Right, but we're in the same fire district.
Yes.
District 4 was 1.9.
Okay. I was just wondering, I'm like, they probably got things out, like you read it somewhere.
Yeah.
Where did you?
I read it, but I did read it.
Right. So I'm like, possibly could we advertise it more? Maybe even put it with the Public Works thing that comes out once a week. That I know we learn a lot of things that have happened on that. Maybe we can learn some things that are going to happen and give us a chance to prepare for it. Because I think a lot of people, it's going to float right by them. They're not even going to know to go out and vote.
Oh, okay, that's a suggestion.
Well, it's just a suggestion. I'm like, somehow or other, the fire companies are not putting the word out. Maybe the township could, because it's coming out of our pockets one way or another. And I know they're all different, but maybe there could be a little link on the Public Works little...
GT Works?
GT Works. Right, okay. That's one. The second one, this is how long it's been since I've been here. I know in the patch it said that some people had prepaid their taxes to save monies because of the new budgets and everything. And at the end of that, it said that there were quite a few people that did it, but at the end of it, it said that many people do this frequently. You usually get, and I forget the numbers, I'm wondering, with prepaid taxes, where does that money go? I mean, does it go into like an escrow account or just into a general?
I'm going to start, and I'm going to let Mr. Cars finish it. But with the prepaid, you're paying for just the first and the second quarter.
Okay,
Because there's an estimate that takes place for the third and fourth.
right.
Ms. Cars?
It goes into a reserve, meaning that it cannot be used for anything. It doesn't go towards surplus. It doesn't go into the general fund. It's reserved until those taxes are due.
Is it gaining interest being,
All the accounts gain interest.
okay. So the interest for this money goes to general fund?
I would have to speak with the tax.
Or to counteract some of the accounts that aren't being paid?
I'd have to check with the CFO and the tax collector to see how that's handled.
Okay.
All accounts are interest bearing though. Interest right now
Yeah.
is,
It's not there, but it's going up, maybe, so.
what they say.
And I know, the third thing, I know I missed Ro DeJosie retiring and having our new town clerk. But I just wanted to let you know that a town clerk for Gloucester Township passed away, and I went to her viewing this morning. And that was Ruth Beadle Cumming. She was township clerk from 1968 to 1971. And I thought you might want to know it, and it was at her funeral parlor today. So.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name's John Stackhouse. I live in the Lance Terrace section of this township. Everybody knows where that is. It's not area, but I live on Hickstown Road. You do live in Marshall Court, right? No, wasn't you? Your brother or something? Somebody back there, your name, lived back. Well, I'm asking about the easement on everybody's property. They're putting new telephone poles in. It's a county road, I understand that. But they're coming over too far on my property. They have trucks parked in my driveway to put these new cones in to fill with cement so they put the metal poles up. They're going on everybody's property, past the easement. It's 25 feet from the center of the road. Is that, am I right?
Mr. Canwell, do you?
Wouldn't know for sure what is in Hickstown, but probably more than that.
What, more than 25 feet? Then why should I pay taxes on that?
Oh, if you pay taxes.
That's I am. That's the surveyor's.
The county right of ways are 33 feet from the center. I don't know about Hickstown, might be 50. I know a lot of them are 33 feet.
Yeah, so it makes sense, and they got the sidewalk in.
Yeah, I bought the sidewalks in.
We had no choice in putting it in. It was put in by the whole engineer in this township. Put it in wrong because it goes up and down. And all this concrete's going like this, and he drive the trucks on it, so it makes it worse.
That'll damage the sidewalk lately.
Huh?
That'll damage the sidewalk.
Oh, yes, it is. And they sent somebody out from the police department, and we had to fix them all and pay for it. You wouldn't talk to us. But the main reason I'm here is about the telephone pole, about the easements. How far can they come on in place? The other people who were supposed to be here, they never showed up.
Okay.
The whole road don't like what they're doing.
I don't believe they can come onto your property.
But they're on my property. They drive the trucks on it all the time.
They
They drove through my lawn a couple of times. That's okay.
They're in the right of way for the road, but without
But they're
having the flats there.
They're not, it's not a Lake City Electric, it's a contractor for them.
Right.
And you want to run that all the way to Grenlock, the substation across from Grenlock Terrace School. But
You ought to check with the contractors that are there.
they won't talk to you. They don't know nothing. They know nothing at all.
All these, the Lank Electric or PSC.
We went through that
Because if
with
they're-
the county.
Well,
We did that all day. It doesn't do any
Paul
good.
would say they have to stay within the easement area. If they want to go outside the easement area, which would mean on your property, they
Yeah.
have to have what they call a temporary working easement from you
Yeah.
to park on your property or store items on your property. Then they have to restore your property to its original.
Yeah, they haven't done that. Even the gas company moved the gas line across the street so you could put the poles on this way. No more money for expense. Didn't even fill that in. They didn't put any more, they put the dirt back, filled dirt back. I mean, Legacy Electric will not talk to you. They trim trees there, or vines, it's on a telephone pole, they left it in my sidewalk, right in the middle of the road. Says, we're not going to do that. So I had lung disease I had to go back there with oxygen to take it back in my woods.
Mr. Stackhouse, can you come up here and provide your phone number for us so we can give you a call back?
She knows me. You know moving to school?
Yeah,
We were.
that's right.
First.
I knew the name sounded familiar. Thank you.
I just have transfer. That's it. You want this? But every time I call anybody, I know the township, I know the county, but no, this township doesn't include the little couple. Ever since got wild and it's got this. Lived there so many years.
Mr. Campbell, I may ask for your help on this.
That's fine.
Okay.
I can have make sure you have his address.
We have it.
Okay.
Thank you, John, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, thank
I
you.
live in Lance Terrace, nobody knows where Lance Terrace is.
Good night, Mr. Stackhouse.
Thank you, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Sweet.
Sam Sweet from Ariel. Good evening, council.
Good evening.
Just a couple quick things. Last council meeting, I had brought up the shop at, the different townships, and you'd said if I found the information to, I forget if you said present it to Mr. Cardis or
Yes.
present it to council.
Mr. Cardis.
Okay, so would I just call your office and schedule an appointment? Okay, and then we'll go from there?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is, I see that we're appointing another person to the zoning board.
Yes.
This
He's
kind-
been appointed.
Okay, he's been appointed.
She.
She, okay. Again, how do we go about these appointments again? This is just,
This individual expressed an interest. She has attended meetings here over the last 2 years and had contacted the mayor's office and said that she would like to serve in some type of capacity. And there was an opportunity on the zoning board as an alternate 4. So we received her resume, and tonight we voted on her appointment, and she will now be serving on the zoning board.
okay, so again, I don't know who she is. I don't have any problem with that. I guess my question is, do you put out there that we're looking for alternates on the zoning board to the public, or is it just the public has to come to you?
No, we don't. There are times when there's
Like, I don't count,
there are times when there's opportunities that are available, but most times people make an inquiry. I made an inquiry in 2002 that I'd like to get involved in my community, and I got appointed to the Human Relations Committee.
all right, so the public would have to come to you to get involved, for the most part. Obviously,
If
council is,
they express an interest and interest in their community, they participate in things, yeah, absolutely.
so there's no public, I guess, record of it. Like, how if you have to sell real estate, you have to put it in the paper that you're selling real estate. You're not
We're obligated to do that.
You're not obligated to do that or anything like that? Okay, that's it. That's all. I just wanted to know the process.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got tonight.
Thank you. Have a great evening. With that, we'll close our second public portion. Reporting the directors.
Mr. Lechner,
I have nothing to report, thank you.
Chief Earl,
Nothing to report, thank you.
Mr. Parliament,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison,
Thank you for coming out this evening.
Mr. Mignon,
Nice job by the Ariel students, and thank you all for the great conversation and dialogue tonight. Be careful. Thank you.
Mr. Owens,
I'd like to extend my congrats to the Ariel School 5th grades kids reach out as well, and thanks for coming out tonight.
Mrs. Winter, yes, Mrs. Winters.
Just want to thank the fifth graders. It's so nice to see the young people in the community doing things like that for others in need in our town. And thank you for coming.
Mrs. Strada.
The same also. Congratulations to the Kids Reach Out group, and thank you all for your comments tonight.
Mr. Mercado.
Thank you for coming out this evening. Congratulations to the 5th grade service club at Earl Elementary School. Don't forget, we do have fire elections in our township. They're always the 3rd Saturday of February. And I want to congratulate Ms. Kelly on being appointed to the zoning board. Thank you for expressing an interest in working with our township and our community. 2 weeks from now, we're celebrating Black History Month. I encourage all of you to come here at 7:30 to attend the event. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a great evening.
All right.